Hi, I'm Michelle Warren with Ashford University, and we have with us today Dr. Gina Zaffino of Strayer University. And we'll be talking about measuring the impact on self-efficacy in Thai women using an online course in entrepreneurship. This research is in partnership with Hope Global University and Warm Heart Worldwide in Thailand. We're using the theories of Albert Bandura and Carol Dweck's growth mindset to influence the design of our teaching strategy by rewarding specific competencies through highlighting and breaking out each competency and reinforcing achievement of that particular skill. I'm going to hand it over now to Gina to talk a little bit more about the theory behind our work.
Thanks, Michelle. So I'd like to provide some context around the theories we're applying to this study. Our first theory is from psychologist Albert Bandura, who was a pioneer in studies about social cognitive development and self-efficacy. And Bandura defines self-efficacy as the belief in one's ability to influence events that affect their life. This includes belief in the ability to accomplish a task, take on a challenge, and the amount of effort extended on any given task, as well as the persistence in the face of unwanted situations and obstacles. Bandura states that self-efficacy isn't a trait that some people have and others don't have. Instead, he proposes that anyone, regardless of their environment, can strengthen their self-efficacy. And there's 4 ways in which he says that self-efficacy can be strengthened. The first way is through mastery experience. And this is simply stating that when you experience a positive result through dedicated effort, meaning that it wasn't easily attained but took great effort, when you get a positive result or achieve that goal, your self-efficacy will strengthen at that point. The second way is through vicarious experience. And this is observing others who have achieved their goals despite adversity, especially others from one's own environment. So this is essentially saying when you see someone else who has a similar background or comes from a similar environment and you see them achieving their goals, the mindset is that, oh, well, I can achieve my goals too because they achieved their goals, even in light of adversity. The third way is through verbal persuasion, which is recognition for a job well done, having mentors, having a support system, but being told that you're, being given positive reinforcement and being told that you're doing a good job, that you're on the right track. And the final way is through your psychological states, which are basically your emotions, your moods, your physical states. When these things are feeling good, you generally have a higher sense of self-efficacy. So Bandura's theory continues to be used and shaped in the field of psychology. Most notably, Carol Dweck, who's a professor of psychology at Stanford University, she's best known for her more modern research in theory of growth mindset, similarly suggests that a learner's belief in themselves impacts the effort that they'll extend on a given task, as well as their ability to bounce back from failure. And we're going to apply both of these theories to our study as we measure the impact of an online course on the self-efficacy of our participants, and we'll talk about it in a little more practical application later. Now that we looked at how to build self-efficacy, we're also going to look at how self-efficacy impacts behavior. Personal efficacy is often linked to intrinsic motivation. The degree to which a person believes in themselves influences their functioning and their mindset, which can be expressed in 4 categories. So the first category is cognitive influences. The way we think impacts the way we function. So if we think we can do something, if we have optimistic thinking, we'll try harder. Whereas if we have self-deprecating thoughts and self-deprecating, debilitating mindsets, we may not have the same motivation to tackle something. And this is also stated in Carol Dweck's growth mindset, right? So Carol Dweck states those who believe they can will exert extra effort and try, thus having a better chance at success and reaching their goals. Those who believe they can't, or what she refers to as a fixed mindset, will exert minimal effort because they believe they cannot influence their outcomes. And one of the ways, according to Dweck, to enhance a growth mindset is by achievement of small wins over repeated time. And we're going to discuss this again in more detail and apply it to our study later in the presentation. So the second influence that we're looking at is motivational, right? So the way we perceive obstacles impacts our motivation to tackle those obstacles. And those with higher levels of efficacy and a growth mindset see obstacles or failures as something to overcome, not something to be overcome by. So it's not a question of, can I reach my goal, but what do I need to do to reach my goal? And the third influence we look at is emotional. When we understand that we are not at the mercy of our emotional state, we are better able to face failure and bounce back. We're not crippled by our emotional state. We have better control over our emotional state. And individuals with higher levels of self-efficacy and growth mindset have an understanding around this, and they don't get paralyzed by their emotional states, and they're certainly not controlled by their emotional states. And finally, we look at decisional influences, destiny versus choice, right? So those with a higher level of self-efficacy or growth mindset believe that they choose their environment, they choose their destiny, they're in control of this, they're not at the mercy of these things. So now that we've looked at how to build self-efficacy and how efficacy impacts our behaviors, I'm going to turn this back over to Michelle so she can walk you through the methodology, and we'll talk more about how we're applying these things to the study.
Thanks, Gina. The population is a small group of women in the Chiang Mai area in northern Thailand. They're from local villages, and they'll be working in teams of other women from those villages. They are mostly older women, and by that we mean 35 and older. For our data, we're using a survey on self-esteem, and we'll be providing that survey before they start the class and then at the end of the class. We're also interviewing the students at the end of the class to collect some qualitative data around their sense of self-esteem as they started the class, through the class, and then after the class. Our main question is, does rewarding small achievements around each competency build self-esteem? And as a note, the class is currently underway. We don't have the data yet, and we'll be providing that as soon as the class closes and we have an opportunity to analyze the data. Regarding the survey was designed by Ralph Schwarzer in 1981. He's a German researcher, and he designed a survey of about 10 simple questions around self-esteem using a scale of 1 to 4, where they'd rate themselves. It really is like me, or it's not like me at all. This survey has become very popular. It's been adapted to 33 languages, including Thai, and it has been tested to be reliable and valid in Thailand. Here's some examples of the survey questions. You can see the rating scale at the top, not true at all, or ranging all the way to exactly true. And so, for example, item number 1, I can always manage to solve difficult problems if I try hard enough. Or, for example, item number 5, thanks to my resourcefulness, I know how to handle unforeseen situations. So you can see how elegant these questions are and how beautifully they measure self-esteem. Here's the questions in Thai, which was really handy for us. At the end of the class, we will be using a translator to interview the students, and the questions will be around confidence in starting the class, changes to their confidence levels during and after the class, and then how confident are they in taking another class. Now I'd like to turn it back over to Gina to talk about how the theory applies specifically to our teaching strategy.
Okay, great. Thanks, Michelle. So people in developing nations inclined for negative outcomes can live fulfilling lives with improved self-efficacy, but it's not that easy. So the women in this study, they're living in rural communities. The images on this particular slide are actually pictures that were taken from some of the areas where the participants live. And they live in places where there's limited access to education, limited access to industry, and certainly limited access to opportunity. And these women may not see the light at the end of the tunnel. So this course is a first step to provide hands-on practice to help to start to improve their self-efficacy and to help them start to develop a growth mindset. And hopefully this will motivate them to continue to try to reach their goals. So if you remember back to our discussion about Bandura's method of building self-efficacy, we talked about mastery experience, which is having success through dedicated effort. So participants in this course will have an opportunity to achieve small wins through dedicated effort. This is not easy for them. They are stepping out of their comfort zone. They're doing something brand new. So every time they reach a goal, they'll have that feeling of mastery experience, which will again start to help them build their self-efficacy. They'll get a little bit more of a, yes, we can do this type of feeling. And one of the other things we talked about was verbal persuasion as a way to build efficacy, right? That was having a support system. For this particular study, it's teachers to be our cheerleaders. So participants in this class will be receiving recognition and praise from their teacher for a job well done, which Michelle will show you a little later on when she goes through the course. And one of the major ways that we're going to be doing this is through badging. Okay, one of the other things we talked about was Carol Dweck's theory of growth mindset, and again, how that can be developed through a series of small wins repeated over time. Well, students in this course are going to be rewarded with badges for successful completion of each task, right? So this will help them to feel good and start to have something tangible that says that they reached a milestone and that, it's a job well done. And as Michelle stated, we don't have the data or the results yet for this study, but we're hypothesizing that through these types of positive reinforcement, the participants will start improving their self-efficacy and growth mindset and start to understand that they can achieve their goals and they can have some control over their destiny, but it's not going to be easy. It's going to take a lot of extended effort for them. So at this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Michelle, and she is going to walk you through the actual course.
So now I'd like to share a little bit of the Facebook and show you how we are implementing these theories in a teaching strategy. This is the banner page. We are partnering with Hope Global University and with Warm Heart International, and Warm Heart is in Thailand. And as we go down, we can see a picture of our students. This is the Strong Women group, and they're in the computer lab at Warm Heart, and Dr. Michael Schaefer is giving them a lesson on the class and showing them a couple things about Facebook. So the class is in Thai and in English. Whoops, here we go. And we have the Thai always at the top and then the English below. And so here's another example. This is the week 1 orientation where they form groups. And again, we have the Thai at the top and then a little introduction in English. And in this case, the teams formed a group and did some activities around their team. And we gave the Strong Women team a badge. In this first class, they were the only group that was present. And so here's their badge for creating their team and forming the roles and so forth within their team. So here's a better example of what we're doing with the theory, where we are building rewards around achievement of small competencies. So here's a competency around entrepreneurial thinking and being creative thinking. So there's a reading, and then, as you can see, Thai and English, and then an exercise. So very small, discrete skills broken out with rewards after each achievement of each skill. So again, here is a team activity where they design they come up with several ideas around a common instrument. And in this case, the students came up with several ideas around the use of a ballpoint pen. And so they posted their ideas here underneath the exercise. So this is using Facebook. They're uploading their assignments right here on Facebook. And we can see it in Thai, and then using Facebook Translator, We go ahead and translate it into English for the sake of the instructors, and we can kind of see what they've got, what their ideas are around the use of a pen. Now, the translation is not perfect in this case, it's pretty bad, but we kind of get an idea of what they're after. And then what we want to do is give them some verbal rewards, fantastic ideas, thanks for your creativity and enthusiasm, and we give them a big badge. And so again, achievement of a small competency, and then boom, a big reward. And that goes on week by week. We have a competency each week that they achieve and then receive a badge and warm feedback. And again, this class is underway right now, so we don't have much. This is just kind of the start to it, but you kind of get the idea. So that's the class, and we will go ahead and share the link so you can go take a look yourself. Now for next steps, the class is still in progress. We'll be going out to Thailand to meet with the teams and to interview them and to submit the post survey. We'll be collecting all that data and evaluating it. At that time, then we'll go ahead and present our findings and conclusions. And meanwhile, we are designing the second class in the series of entrepreneurship, where they continue to develop their entrepreneur skills, and also we're looking at helping them develop some business skills around banking and tracking resources and finances and so forth. So more to do. We're looking forward to sharing what we learned with you at a later date. So if you have any questions or ideas, anything you want to share with us, we're looking forward to hearing from you. And here's our contact info. Also, here's a link to the Facebook page. Thank you very much for joining us today.